amount of institutions of higher education. We're very proud of all of those organizations and entities that provide great educational opportunities for people not only in our region, but from around the country. Over the past several decades, though, we've seen that the cost of higher education has risen far faster than families are able to keep up with. And this has led many students to take on increasingly large amounts of debt or be priced out of college education altogether. And so I would like to ask our panelists, we have two individuals from institutions of higher education, what are the most practical and effective steps that institutes of higher education can take right now to reduce the cost and make college more affordable to students and families? I'll go to Mr. Landward first.
Okay, thank you. Well, there are several things that you can do. One is to have good metrics into the performance of every single program at the program level, to know what are the cost of the degrees, what are the outcomes, what are the completion rates, what are the enrollments, and make hard decisions when the data doesn't support the programs. That's the first thing. The second thing is to stay within your mission and role. Don't duplicate, in a state system anyway, what you can accomplish through partnerships within the state system and provide access to good programming, good degrees, good certificates to students across the state through partnerships among institutions rather than institutions competing against each other. Another thing that I think isn't talked about enough is building a robust partnership with the K-12 system in each state to have concurrent enrollment offerings. In Utah, 26% of our high school students have concurrent enrollment courses. They're enrolled in college. We charge $5 per credit hour to those students. They have saved well over $100 million in tuition in 1 year alone in Utah by enrolling in concurrent enrollment and have earned over 400,000 credits at that significantly reduced price. Now they can enter college with a head start in completing faster, and that means more savings. So that kind of partnership is another area that you can do now that has a profound impact.
Fantastic, and appreciate those thoughts. We have a similar program with dual enrollment for our high school students and our local community college, which works very well. I'll go next to Mr. Rodriguez for your thoughts.
Thank you for the question. As I mentioned earlier, we have accountability in our system through performance-based funding. One of our metrics from day one has been affordability. That is something we measure our institutions on and then appropriate based upon their success. The most significant change we've made in Florida to impact the cost to students was about 5 years into our performance-based funding. We changed our metric on completion, left the universal 6-year graduation metric, and adopted a 4-year graduation metric, encouraging our institutions to identify what are the barriers that are keeping their students from graduating in 4 years and giving them the incentives to eliminate those barriers. And if you do that right off the bat, you're saving your students 50% of the cost because they're getting out in 4 years instead of 6. And we all had barriers. What we found in Florida was we had institutions that weren't offering the classes that were needed or weren't offering enough sections that were needed for students to graduate. We had, in programs, we had a number of programs, 87 majors, where institutions had added additional requirements that forced the student to stay there more than 4 years. And then we had institutions that did not have enough student advisors to guide the students through the process. We made changes in each of those areas, and now our 4-year graduation rate is 60%, which is just a tick below the national 6-year graduation rate of 65% for public universities. So we are almost doing in 4 years what the typical public university does in 6. That's why our students are leaving with little debt, in addition to our lowest tuition in the nation.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, and those types of reforms are critically important, and I think that kind of thinking, not just sticking with the status quo, saying we want to do better, is very much appreciated. And with the time remaining, I'll go to Dr. Akers. Is there anything that you recommend that we in Congress should be doing to limit or reduce the cost of higher education and limit the amount of student debt?
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled with the progress that was made through the reconciliation legislation. I'd like to see that work continued, particularly in introducing the price metric into the accountability mechanism that was introduced through the Do No Economic Harm standard for programs of study. Basically, when a program is offering a really low cost, I think that can be an additional way for them to pass the threshold of participating in the lending program.
Great. Well, thank you, all of you. Again, our institutions of higher education are one of the real bright spots in this country. We want to continue those opportunities for students and families to succeed in life, and we've got to make sure, though, it's an affordable opportunity for everybody. So thank you again for being here, and with that, I yield back to the chairman.
Thank you.